And so sometimes those needs are not reasonable.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. And then that's a different dynamic that we got to handle. There's reasonable needs, and then there's unreasonable needs. So when the needs are reasonable, like I'm trying to help you so the water doesn't get spilled, okay, let me pick up the water. When the needs are unreasonable, that's a different approach.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's talk about how to interrupt the adrenaline. So one part of the problem is that these people get on adrenaline really fast. They ignite fast. And once they're on the adrenaline, they're like a runaway train.
Mm-hmm.
And if they usually, if they're new at this, how do I want to say it? If you're new at this with them, what you'll find is that they often cannot stop themselves very effectively. You'll switch topics, and off they go back to the topic again. And you say, we're not going to talk about this. And they just keep running their mouth and running you over and bringing it. They keep going back to it, and they can't stop.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. I think the listeners could totally, need to hear about that.
That they can't stop?
Yeah.
The thing is, though, like I said before, is they can't stop because, and then there's no way to satisfy it. Like I said earlier, you could try being quiet. That just aggravates them, which gets adrenaline going. You could go toe to toe. That just feeds the adrenaline. And then you can try being, I'm sorry to, and then that's not what they want to hear. So it just keeps going. So at that point, I mean, all three of those are a lose situation for me, and none of those work. None of those will work. So the best thing is to get out of that situation. You just have to get out of it and have like some sort of interruption where they can stop, because there's no fix for that, especially with somebody that has adrenaline, or the adrenaline might be, for instance, my husband, due to a layoff, is extremely sensitive right now and extremely worried, extremely anxiety, and it's heightened even more.
Exactly. So I want to use a horse example for the listeners at home.
Yes.
And this is, okay, you're cruising along on your horse, and all of a sudden the horse spooks or starts, even if it doesn't spook, you're walking along, and by itself the horse starts trotting and getting on adrenaline. And you can feel if your horse is getting on adrenaline, they get tense, their heads pop up. You feel like, oh, my God, I got all this power. I'm sitting like on a bomb. And if you just sit there and you do nothing with the loopy reins, your horse could go from a trot, and then before you know it, it can be in a canter, and then it could be in a full-out, dead, absolute run. If you've ever been on a runaway horse like I have, it is terrifying. And with no pressure on the reins, the horse can throw its head down, and then it can snap its back, and it can launch you right out of the saddle.
Yes.
So if you do nothing, okay, you might be fine, but you might get launched. Right?
Yeah, and if you've ever been bucked off a horse, no bueno.
Exactly. Not fun. And when horses are on really bad adrenaline, they can actually run through a fence when they're like that. They can run through traffic. And if you're with a person on adrenaline, they can get a little too darn scary. And so we got to shut it down. So I'm going to tell you what you ought to do first. And then
it's kind of funny thing about that, if you get launched from a horse, you feel it that day, but too, also, you're sore for a couple of days after that. And after one of these incidents, I feel like I'm sore a couple of days after it, because it really, even though when I don't do the methods, it gets inside, it gets me. But because I'm not being the leader. But if I'm being the leader and I'm in control of this bucking horse, then I'm not sore a couple of days later.
Exactly. And because I've been on a runaway horse before, I'm scared to get back on the horse again. I'm literally scared, and I feel like rightly so, legitimately so. Horse just ran off with me. And so it can be a really bad dynamic, and then you can get post-traumatic stress, which is not good.
Yes.
Okay, so the idea of just doing nothing and letting them tear away with you, it's not a good idea. The other thing that people do is they try to manage it. They try to manage all that adrenaline. So like on a horse example, if I try to clamp on the reins and hold my horse together, then all that energy starts to get jammed up, and the horse, if I pull on the horse, now all of a sudden the horse can pull back on me. And then I pull on it, and it can pull on me, and then it can start being like a rocking horse. It rocks back and yanks forward and rocks back and yanks forward.
Mm-hmm.
They can start rearing. And so with people, we call it a power struggle. When you talk about going toe-to-toe, you try to pull on him, and he yanks back, and then you pull, and he pulls, and that doesn't work either. All right, so we'll start to talk about, or you could not ride your horse.
Yeah.
Just pick him in the barn and
leave him in pasture.
Yeah, put him out to pasture. That's what your friends will tell you to do. And if you have a dangerous horse, leave him in the pasture for a while until you get good till you work on your own confidence, your own skills. You get help.
Exactly.
But you don't die. But meanwhile, so what we do with horses that do this is we do this thing called the one rein stop. And the one rein stop is really simple. You're walking along with your nice loose reins, so you're not pulling on them. You're not micromanaging them. They got to manage themselves, which they can't do alone yet. So they're walking along, and then as soon as your horse starts to break into a trot and get faster, you pull their head with one rein. You just pull the head to the right or to the left. You just pull it to the side, and you make it make a little U-turn so that its nose is basically touching your boot. You don't yank it, and you're not screaming at it. You just go, whoop, that's a U-turn. And the horse can't go very fast or very far in a U-turn. It's stuck. It can't get anywhere. Totally stuck. So the way you do a one-rein stop with a person is what you're starting to do right now. You basically spin around. That's your little whoop turn. And then you remove yourself from where they're at for a short time, because the one-rein stop is not very long. It's just a moment. It's like, maybe, I don't know, a minute on a horse, 2 minutes. With a person, it might be 1 minute. It might be 20 minutes. It might be an hour. It's not days, and it's not like I'm divorcing you.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just a temporary little interruption. And then it's like trying to clap with one hand. People can't do it. So when you make a little U-turn and you move your feet away from that person, they can't fight anymore with you.
Yeah.
They can only fight with themselves. And that's the same thing that happens to your horse. When its nose is by your boot and its head is cranked in a little circle, it might fight itself, going, I don't know what to do. I'm going to spin around a circle. But they're no longer fighting you because you're not pulling back on both reins and you're not throwing your reins away.
Yeah.
So, you just do that. And as soon as you turn your shoulders away and you move your body away from them, all of a sudden now you're in the lead. Because I think you said a minute ago, my husband came after me because you were moving your feet away from him. So now all of a sudden you're in the front and he's in the back. Does that make sense? You're in the front, you're leading.
Yeah.
And he's following you, which is not a bad dynamic. I've heard people say, my wife will chase me all around the house. Well, that means that you're leading her, even though she doesn't know it. You're leading her, which is a good thing, because when she's on adrenaline, she can't lead herself. So how long do you hold the one rein stop? You hold it until you're both calm. That can take
Wow.
a minute. That can take all day. It shouldn't take any more than 2 days. It shouldn't take 2 days, the person.
Yeah.
But beginning it could. So do you want to share any stories about when you first started your one rain stop? Some of the reactions you got, because usually the person doesn't like it and they
Oh my gosh, yes. You're leaving me. If you leave this house, I'm going to, you're never going to see me again. If you leave, I may not survive the night. Where are you going with my baby? I need to know exactly where you're going. You're the worst woman in the world. Blank, you trucking witch, in adult terms, in adult language, over and over again. You're never coming back. It's so easy for you to just flee the house. You have no worries. I could go on. It's like a recording. It's
right.
the same. It's the same message, but just different words that are hurtful. And they used to get to me, and now they don't. In fact, I feel like I stand taller when I do it because I'm in control. He can be saying and running off and doing all of and I just go, I'm in control. And what I'm teaching my child is, this is not acceptable behavior. We will be back. And then when I do, right before I leave, the last thing I say is, your baby and I love you. We will be back. We will be back, and we will never leave you, but we will be back. But this is not tolerated. And then I leave.
Yep, perfect. And now you leave for a short time, and you come back, and he's fine, right?
Yeah, or he calls and says, "Can you come home?"
Right.
And then today, what I've been asking, I give him the option: do you want to leave, or shall I?
Exactly.
And he left today, and then came back shorter than when I left, and said right to him, said he was sorry, and he used the words, "I am sorry for those words," or "I am sorry for the way I acted."
Which is huge, isn't it? Because he doesn't usually say sorry.
I never have heard those. No, never. It was huge, and it was fast, and it was sincere. It was real, and it was the whole horse thing. Even head was down, tail was down. I'm sorry for, and to own what he did. It was not even just I'm sorry. It was taking ownership of what actually happened.
Exactly. So you're seeing a real shift now.
Real. He's smart. He's very smart.
He's getting it, because what you're doing so brilliantly is you're taking the chemical away that gets in his way. It's almost like a drug addict or an alcoholic. When he's on the adrenaline, it's really hard to learn. So you are messing the pattern up. You're taking yourself away so that he can't clap his hands together, because there's this one hand now. And the adrenaline comes down, and then he gets it.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to explain it to him. This is something I know that you know now, but I want to make sure that anyone listening, and maybe you can speak to this, some people come back and think they have to explain it to them. I left because you're a jerk.
Yeah, but that's just a caring, natural caring point or way to explain you want to explain yourself, because you want this person in a normal relationship. You're able to explain yourself and explain what you're doing. In this situation, less is more. Less and direct is more.
Right.
Because the more you add to it, the more you're really adding fuel. It took me forever, because I said, I'm a caring person, and so I want to explain myself. But in this, less is more. Be right direct. Like I say, I love you. I will be back. We will always love you, but we are not going to tolerate this kind of attitude or this kind of talk.